Traveler's Log, supplemental. Today is following up our normal scheduled mindful drawing episodes. Yesterday, engaging in a internal moon gazing, pulling our celestial neighbor into our mind's eye and letting its rhythms and influence guide us as we establish a technique of expression and drawing out, as well as feeling that influence of gravity to give us a space of relaxation. I thought I would continue my lineage of science fiction influences and go from a moon gazing to a stargazing. The log of a journey somewhere out there from here. Wherever you go, there you are, as they say in The Adventures of a Buckaroo Banzai. And we can bring those star fields, that infinite expanding space, those brilliant points of light into our self, into our own journey, and follow them to see what we might find in that space between the stars. I decided I want to inaugurate a new sketchbook by using it as a space for some of these special supplemental exercises in mindful practice, going beyond the blank, open canvas of Bristol and letting the framing of a book, the opening, the engagement with the materials become part of that mindful practice. The instruments that we work with, both important guides in how we engage with our materials and also open, infinite, meaningless, and valuable. So whatever you're working with to draw today, whether that's a sketchbook, something dear and special, a gift, a piece of paper or a scrap on the back of a notebook, just doodling in the corners of your notes, I hope that it's something that you can find a way into, feel through the tips of your fingers, the uniqueness of that medium, and let it inspire and guide the actions of your hands, the engagement of your nervous system, and the character of your marks. Get set up, establish your space, and let's draw together. Let's begin a little bit of a warm-up to come into the space of our body, give everyone a chance to get set up, comfortable, find how you're engaging in your area and what's around you, and just kind of transition to a space of mindfulness around the drawing. So on any blank page or piece of paper, I usually start with a bit of a theme. Yesterday's session, we kind of looked at bringing the attention in our mind to the moon and its presence in cycles in our life, and I thought I'd continue that and engage in a theme of kind of stargazing. But whatever that begins to mean, we'll uncover as we draw. And to start, just taking a few breaths at first, whatever pace is happening with you as you sit and become engaged here with a page in front of you, a pen or pencil in your hand, whatever instrument you'd like to draw with. The position you're holding your body in the chair, find one that's comfortable to hold for 20 minutes or so. And then start to bring a little bit more deliberate attention into the breath. Perhaps close the eyes. Take a deep breath in and expand the rib cage, center and organize the spine. Let the shoulders roll back. And over a couple of breaths, get set. Open the hands. Let them feel the stretch and contraction to warm up with a little bit of blood flow. And then with eyes closed or open, depending on what feels comfortable, just begin to make a few dots, circles, marks, scribbles around the page. The first few at random, just again to feel our connection through the fingertips into the pen or pencil, to let us have a little bit of time just with that moment or that instrument, slowing down and speeding up how you might move the pencil as you make some kind of dot here on the page, testing, playing between clockwise and counterclockwise, between tight and loose, between organized and random or chaotic, just to feel out where things are right now. And then for a couple breaths of entering in, breathe in deep to expand the spine, find that location, and with this pace of your letting out of the breath, begin to move the hand in that same mark, finding the one that helps you settle in here and enter the action of drawing through the breath. And when you're ready, at your pace, taking a breath in, repositioning, and again, aligning that motion of the hand with the breathing, whether that's one slow out breath and slow movement of the pen, or just an evenness and alignment with a more relaxed and mindful breathing, bringing them into a pace that can bring some conversation there between the body and the expression. And if you open your eyes, if they were closed, and kind of look at the page, perhaps we've developed some small constellation of points that we begin to look into and find ourselves a technique of whatever might speak to you of some kind of star or brightness. Maybe that's a very traditional, pentagon star, an asterisk, just a small highlight, something to give brilliance to the location or point. Anything that comes to mind and may work here with these dots, a chance for just a quick exploring to find something to begin the drawing. Maybe it's just an expansion of the area, an extension of their dot in space. And in taking in what you see, letting our eyes engage with the page that might be present there on the paper, we can move either to a new page or the back of that, something in a sketchbook or on the table in front of you, or just keep working right there with that page. And beginning the exercise again, now with some process in our mind, whether random with our eyes closed or guided with our eyes open. Begin again to occupy that space of a blank territory with the highlights of points, these small marks emerging, bringing the focus in to the positioning of the hand, the timing of the action, how many forwards and backwards, circles around, and engagements does it pace in marking these dots? Do they align with the breath, or does the breath drift to the background? If things become rushed, or if there's difficulty in choosing or selecting the next action in the awareness of our drawing, the breath is always our grounding place, breathing in on the locating or the positioning, breathing out on the drawing or expressing, finding that stable rhythm, pacing that we can engage into the drawing. And after some time of focus there in an embodied sensation of the breathing, it can drift into the background and underlie our motion, letting some of our other sensations in the drawing drift forward, the pressure on the fingertips, the engagement of the small muscles around the fingers up through the forearm that stabilize and guide the instrument here of our action. The texture of the interface between the paper and the pen or pencil, the smoothness of graphite, perhaps the slickness of ink, the scratchiness of felt. Looking in to the way we make these marks, that very nuanced and subtle engagement between our body and the page. As a density emerges here on the paper, we've mapped out a new territory, an establishment of a new space full of relationships here between the points of interaction, the moments of mindful engagement with each expression of a mark that we can make with these tools and mediums. If you work with eyes open, the density begins to pull us in, begins to either resist new marks or guide their location, and bring some attention to those feelings. Does it feel crowded or open? Does it bring direction, clarity, inspiration, or frustration? Whatever feelings may emerge there as we each embody our own visual processing here of the page, our own experience with creating through the act of drawing, and recognizing what it may be. If there's any discomfort in it, our action is always to breathe, any time taking a break from making the marks, coming back to that filling and expanding, that release and sinking in. If the visual tension on the page brings discomfort, we can always close our eyes and just move without intention or purpose, instead following the very simple and base technique and action of locating and marking, creating this spatial field. And here, as I open my eyes and look, the territory is getting quite full and dense, and that engages my mind to want to manage the pattern, manage the information, to begin composing or visually overlaying my intention, my expectations into the drawing. I'll use that as a guide to transition to beginning to take each individual point, each moment as an opportunity to draw into that space and let it extend the influence of any point outwards into the whole field. This gazing at in this case points of dark in a field of light, or inky stars, and using new marks to expand their influence, bring their brightness out. The first view and exploration in this, a finding of how a point extends its influence, questioning, exploring, and observing of each local moment or quality, letting the eyes focus in deeply to each individual dot and location. Is it regular, round, smooth, or wobbly, loose, chaotic? Can that observed visual quality guide the next moment of marking its extension outward into that space? Perhaps the very small and very dense shine more brightly, the very large and loose continuing their gentle forming of the page and space, just moving to whichever dot draws your attention and bringing that observation to it to let it guide the next marking of the page. Something as simple as drawing out an expressive line with subtle shifts in character to each become a moment of conscious inhabitation, of mindful and aware creation there on the page. Not replicas or stamps of a technique, but a unique creative engagement. Each time a new exploration and a new observance of how our creation brings feeling, sensation, and awareness through this action of drawing. And again, as we spend time deeply focused inward in our observation, localized to each point or moment, there is always a gradual influence from what exists around in the context. Our eyes seeing both this place of engagement, the connection where the pen or pencil meets the paper, the giving or observing of direction in the action, also haloed by the neighbors, by the moment of movement, choice, or selection for the next engagement. And as we see in, we also let our eyes see out, perhaps bring a little unfocus to their attention, using them as the guide to establish place, and then letting them drift away once location is found, once some degree of comfort and security in the next action is established. They can wander the field, observing the whole while guiding the individual. If they begin to feel fatigue or focus, drift, let that drift be a guide and an expression of where the body wants to go. It's easy in tasks of creative expression or simple work to tense up, to go deeply inward and hyper-focus, and that's often very productive for a time. And can we develop that mindful attention to that state of focus, to have the awareness to take a breath, occasionally step back, calibrate, and guide our healthy engagement with those actions. And at any time in this, if the field runs out of points of interaction, we can come back to that original pacing and breathing and just let the eyes drift closed, or perhaps start wandering around your room, your space, wherever you may be, and focusing again outward, far away, seeing and taking in what is around you, flexing the small muscles that bring vision into play, a strong sense and guide and creative expression, and beginning to layer in more density within the field, to take the last few minutes as an opportunity for letting go a little bit of what may have emerged here. A sketch on a page, a scribble on a napkin, a doodle in a meeting, a way of centering our attention and relaxing, but also a temporary moment that has brought focus and attention, has generated visual artifacts, can keep growing out and on forever, or at any time end and allow us to move along in that space that we've generated, in a space ready to observe and experience. In a space of creative engagement, taking in each moment, calibrating to that place, and then taking action, experiencing the depth of each moment that over just such a short time can fill a page, extend our creativity from small little dots to whole brilliant fields. Perhaps full of inspiration, or just a letting out things that may be floating within our mind space. And we like to take in this exercise an opportunity to observe what has emerged. Perhaps it's messy marks and scribbles, perhaps something visually engaging and exciting to what you've drawn and experienced. And wherever it's at, a few moments and minutes of silence just to explore that now with the pen or pencil, to go through and continue the exercise or look for new conditions. Start to play within this space, to let go of its figuration and just discover. Wherever you are in the drawing, feel free to continue or come to a place of rest, to disengage a little from the page, and to bring some attention back to your space by taking a deep breath in, rolling the shoulders back, forward, as we may become hunched or hyper-focused in these moments, just to loosen back up, rotating the spine side to side, flexing it a little bit forward and back. I like to bring some attention to the hands and give them an opening stretch and let them drift back into a relaxed state and work it in the overhand and underhand position. They often become very tight in the fine controls for writing and drawing, to relax that. And to take a deep breath in, and let it out as the whole body's attention comes back to a broader awareness after being focused inward in the space of drawing. And prepare in a few moments to re-engage with whatever we might be doing for the day, and to close the book on the drawing or the doodle and let it be the artifact of its time. The Stargazer, a fictional ship building out the background of a childhood figure in the character of Captain Picard, leading an exploratory quest out into the stars, diplomatically engaging with new beings, new cultures, new races, new characters, leaping from star to star, system to system, opening up that infinite territory of our galaxy in our further expanded universe, the infinite space of knowledge, physics, of the unexplored and the unknown, the unknowable, and the curiosity we all share together. The influence of a fictional storyline, a way of cataloging our experience, the ship's log, for me always a bit of a traveler's log, a personal log, a variation in the day, a journaling exercise of writing, of exploring our thoughts, of drawing, of finding new territories. Where do we explore? Inward and outward, both expansive and vast territories. And hopefully these mindful practices can offer you a way into your own space, your own journey, your own expression, and the way you transform and shape that universe around you. I thank everyone who has a chance to join. If you've enjoyed this practice, please let me know below in the comments what it has brought out in you and what fields you have explored. Give the video a like and share with your friends. I hope that it can offer some service of at least relaxation, if not creativity, and opening to a way of gazing at the stars, both within and out there in our open space. Whatever you do for the rest of the day, I hope it's good. Draw well. Thank you.